Let's talk about Africa and South Asia. There is an enormous amount of innovation happening out there, and we've heard already yesterday and today about companies like M-Pesa, who perhaps represent are the exemplar of this innovation. M-Pesa is not alone. Just in Africa today, there are more than 200 mobile money services. So all of these pioneers have shown that it is possible to serve a very large population that is unbanked profitably. So, yet, there is still 1.7 billion people on the planet who are unbanked. So, while this innovation is great, it just shows that we need to accelerate. The next wave of innovation is interconnecting all of these systems in an interoperable country, regional, and even continental payment systems. So I have today with me three of the architects of this new age of interoperability. Let me first introduce them to you, and then we'll dive in. So Juliet, please introduce yourself and your organization.
Hello, I'm Juliet Kiluwa. I work for the Financial Sector Deepening Trust, also known as FSDT. We're based in Tanzania. We are a financial inclusion program that basically deals with how do we achieve full financial inclusion in our country. We work by being facilitators. We work with different policymakers in ensuring that our market is robust and inclusive.
Thank you. Megan?
Hi, I'm Megan O'Donnell, the World Council of Credit Unions, WOCCU. We are the global association. We do advocacy and special projects to develop credit unions around the world. What is a credit union? Many of you in the UK know them as building societies and also as credit unions. They're called SACCOs in East Africa and the US, credit unions. They do savings and loans and insurance and basic financial services that are key to human life. But different from a bank in the sense that a credit union is owned by its customers and it's nonprofit, has a social mission, and often has a common bond of the members. So really is a community-based organization. So our role is to look at the global level and share learnings between the way this happens in different countries. And a big thing lately, obviously, is technology and digitization. So we have a whole digital transformation project section that we are looking to expand more.
Thank you. Warren?
Warren Carew, I'm from ModusBox, and we've been working with the Gates Foundation in this new world of interoperability. So we've been partners with them from the beginning of their level 1 project and how to facilitate a technology platform, in this case called Modulator, which will be part of the glue that makes this possible.
Thanks. So let's dive in a little bit. Each of the panelists has a project that is ongoing that is building out this interoperable mesh of real-time payments. So let's dive in and understand a little bit more. So Juliet, tell us what the project is about and why you're doing it.
So let me start with the why. So Tanzania has been on the interoperability journey since 2014. We were the first pioneers to have telco interoperability, and we have seen a lot of results that were good and challenging. And from those challenging results, we saw that, yes, the customers were able to finally transact between telcos seamlessly, but there were costs that the telcos had to incur. They had to have multiple agreements between each other. There was multiple complex settlements. So even though it was a first step into seeing interoperability, but there were still challenges seen in the country. And on the other hand, we had a financial inclusion framework that was talking about how do we reach financial inclusion in our country, and there were different strategies in there. One of them was the full interoperability in the market, and the central bank in Tanzania is the lead initiator of this strategy. So it was just an ingredient that needed to come together. And we saw that we needed a full interoperable payment system in Tanzania. In short, we did an assessment. We went to see what was out there. And we had visions of what this payment system should look like. It should have oversight so that the central bank can do their job well. It should have inclusion so that the payment providers can play on a level playing field, meaning costs will go down. And the customers should have freedom to have, they should have money in their hands. They should have control of their money. And everything should work seamlessly so that everybody in the financial sector is included and financial inclusion comes through.
Thank you. Megan, tell us, this is a project, one example of a project in Africa. There are many others. Let's hear about a project in South Asia.
Yeah. So credit unions are the only source of finance for a large part of the world. There are 260 million people that are members of credit unions. And we work globally, but especially in Asia, we saw an opportunity. There are 40 million people in Asia who are credit union members, and they are part of our regional membership. So we looked first at Indonesia and the Philippines, which have 14 million members. And interestingly, in Indonesia, for instance, half of the credit union members, credit unions are their only access to finance, their only loans, savings, it's their only connection to the financial system. And in a lot of, especially developing countries, transactions, books are still done manually with cash, with books and pens and paper. There's a big varying level of digitization. So one of the big things that's happening is, especially in Asia, is a lot of innovation. I was on the cab in Jakarta a couple of weeks ago, and half the motorbikes on the road are shared motorbikes. People go on their app and they get a ride. People are using this, as their, these are financial transactions. So there's a lot of innovation, and with this innovation, in a lot of developing countries comes some, hazards. There's a lot of kind of predatory loans. There's highly costly systems. So our credit union members came to us as kind of their global experts and said, we want to be able to get safe, affordable digital payments for our members. And we came upon Kosta and his group, and we think we saw a possibility to be able to digitize a lot of the transactions that our institutions are doing, so that we can increase the efficiency of the operations for these lower income populations, and also connect them to the rest of society, connect them to the government. A lot of the nature of a credit union is to be community bound, so a lot of it is in kind of very closed systems. Simple transactions like paying your taxes or paying your utility bill are very difficult for a lot of our membership to do. So being able to connect digitally into the economy just brings great possibilities.
All right. So then, Warren, then you are kind of the guy behind the scenes who make this happen. So tell us a little bit about the how. How are these systems being architected to do this?
So already this morning, I think there have been some good discussions about APIs, and yesterday we had the open banking discussions and PSD2. Now, what we're looking at with the modular loop solution is a way where we can have this interoperability between the disparate systems, the different ecosystems almost, because we have the mobile money operators, we have the banks, we have the traditional financial service providers, we have the low-tech credit unions or MFIs or SACCOs. So what we need to do is find a platform in a way where there's low barriers to entry, where we can actually make it accessible. This world of interoperability, we know we want it. How do we make it happen? How do we oil the wheel that gets that happening? So Moja Loop, which is Swahili for one, is the Moja. So it's Moja Loop, one loop, that allows us to connect these two ecosystems, or possibly three, and possibly have lots of loops. So what we're doing is we're providing the technology and the operations and the business product creation services support that's making these things possible. We're working with, in Tanzania, we're working with the Bank of Tanzania itself to empower their teams. How do they take over this technology and build a solution? What I mean by them take this technology, ModuLoop is an open source platform. Okay? It's a switching technology, a switching platform for payments. It's got an open API standard interface, and the technology is available for those of you techie out there. You can get it on GitHub today. What we're trying to do is take that, though, from a proof of concept technology platform that works nice on a developer's machine to be something that actually works in the real world. So we're working with the Bank of Tanzania, empowering their development teams to take that on. With Woku, we're working about creating an industry-specific lab, an environment where those MFIs, those credit unions can come and test and learn how to use the SDK that allows them to connect up. How do they get involved in that? And they can start experiencing, so what does this interoperability look like? We don't have all the answers, but we are trying to architect that future. And that means we need a way where we can try things out, we can sandbox things, learn and develop. There's another project called Mawali, which is in West Africa, where that's a telco-specific only environment. And that's a huge project. There's lots in the media about that too. So we actually have 3 really different cases where we have national payment switch. We have an industry-specific financial services offering. And we have what in Africa, at least, is traditional, a traditional mobile money play.
Yeah. Excellent. So, and just ModuLoop, I just want to insist on one point, is Warren has mentioned it's an open source software, so for the technologists in the room, you can actually go on GitHub and look at it. You can download it, and and you can work on projects with it. So just wanted to mention that point. Great. So let's then talk a little bit about how success looks like. So these projects are ongoing, Megan and Juliet. So when will they benefit the unbanked, and what is your vision of success of how that looks, Juliet?
So we're still in development phase. We're still working with the different market players. And when I say market players, I mean the banks, the telcos, the FinTechs, because that's what it means to have everybody included in the system. And customers can actually get the benefit of using financial services that they can derive value from. So we are hoping to see this deployment done by next year, 2020. And I'm still seeing this vision of, because we have seen the momentum in Tanzania, we have seen how mobile money has grown, and we have seen the potential when there is proper innovations, proper rules, and proper collaboration. So I see 5 years from now, TIPS is fully implemented, Tanzania Instant Payment System is fully implemented, East Africa has replicated it, they've taken it on. And because we are using the ModuLoop principles, that means that we are open, we have connectivity to other schemes. That means I see a connected Africa, and I see us all transacting with low cost, with rules in place, and everybody collaborating in a good way for the customer's needs, actually meeting the women's needs, the rural dwellers' needs, the SMEs' needs.
That's great. Megan, what is your vision of success, and when?
When? Well, we are, there are credit unions in 117 countries, but we're starting in Asia, and specifically in the Philippines and in Indonesia. Success to me is that in both of those countries, the credit union members have access to safe and affordable payments and are connected to the rest of the economy. And we'd also like to see the credit unions not just be themselves, but integrate with the microfinance structures and the regulators on all levels to really be part of the connected economy. When is it going to see some success? It already is, because our members all over the world are already doing digital payments, and in Indonesia and the Philippines specifically, they're already learning. They have they have their own systems already. It's quite interesting. And in Indonesia, they have kind of a low-cost DIY payment system that they've built to connect between the credit unions. And just through the 6 months we've been working with the foundation, they've learned a lot already about the limitations of their system and the benefits of opening up. And in the Philippines, they have a very pricey off-the-shelf system, and they're looking at how to improve that just in the short term, and then also how to bring it up and integrate components of Moduloop to make that, to improve that. So really, it's an escalation of the system. What does success look like connected to the rest of the economy? We're looking at use cases from bill pay, salaries, merchant payments, the ultimate sort of cashless trigger. Yeah. So that's the 5 years. And then, we're going to move into other regions. Asia is, as Woku, the idea is to create models, to create toolkits, or we'll come up with a better word for that, guidelines, and really bring that to other countries. We already have, we spoke initially to, Brazil and Poland and many, many places. Everyone is facing the same challenges. So we'd love to go to Tanzania.
You're welcome.
There's a strong SACCO sector there that we've talked about connecting to the tip system. So success is to have a community around the world.
Thank you. Warren, what's your vision of success?
Yeah. So, the questions asked yesterday, is PSD2 been successful 15 months in? Well, I was on M-Pesa when it started in day one in 2005, and my measure for success is when we get this next phase done and we get that ubiquitous merchant experience, customer experience. Anybody can spend money anywhere, in the developed worlds, we forget about that some of the time, and we get stuck. We're surprised when we have American Express not being accepted in lots of places outside of America. But actually, most people in the world live like this. So for me, it's where we have low-cost technology, easy deployments, easy to evolve platforms with good engineering behind it that embody the level 1 principles. But the real test of success is I can go into any place in Africa, east or west, north or south, I can spend my money. I can go take my same account and go in Asia and spend my money. We really do have an opportunity to create a fully interoperable platform.
Thank you. And my vision of success, out of the 1.7 billion people I mentioned that are unbanked, 400 million adults in Africa. So I hope we'll connect them all.
Yeah.
Thank you for your testimonials, and I hope we have shown you that Africa and South Asia are leapfrogging and innovating the basic payments that we all take for granted. Well, I urge you, and I'm sure you're sitting here and thinking, how can we learn about this, and how can we be helpful to this, and how can this be used here? Because in Africa today, I can send money as easily as a text message. Well, we can't do that here. So I urge you to learn what's happening. You have seen some of the examples of this leapfrogging of payments toward a fully meshed system. I urge you to learn. You have heard about the Moduloop software that is open source that can be helpful for you tomorrow. Have a look. And let us know your ideas. We welcome ideas for how you all professionals can be helpful in this endeavor. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you.